Salutations, everybody. It's me and Nicole, and I'm here today without the kids. Why? Because of a reoccurring collaboration. So if you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. You know what to do to let us know that you like us or you don't, and how to stick around if you so choose. We so greatly appreciate. Sorry for the ring light in my glasses, but it is a headache kind of day. So this one is the Forgotten Favorites. It's an amazing collaboration by Sarah from DreamItDIY and awesome Jasem. They came together, they picked a bunch of movies that are often overlooked, forgotten favorites, dare we say. Everyone chooses to celebrate it however they want to. A bunch of creators come together, some of them Disney bound. We've had makeup looks, we've had foods, we've had drinks, we've had questions, we've had collections, we've had art, we've had craft. We will have everybody that is participating in this month linked down below. Go see how they were inspired by this month's movie, which is Rescuers. I am going to walk you through the process of how I made these beauties, and I hope that you enjoy. On to the DIY-ish. What will you need to make these ears? I have my favorite ear template. This is from Auntie Tay's, and I'm using the foam one, which I have made into a harder plastic. You will also need foam. They have 5mm and they have 1 and 2mm at your local craft store. I prefer to utilize a 3mm, so I purchase it online if I can find any, because it is hard to find the white. I will link it down below, and you will have to trace these and cut them out. I've already done that. A front and a back. You're going to want something for your back, so I have some foam I could choose from, or some faux glitter. I have that in a variety of different colors. I have paint pens. I could use acrylic paint, but these work perfectly fine too. These are oil-based. I don't use the water-based because I don't want them to wash off. I have the beads that I'm going to be using. Most of these are diamond dots beads in a variety of different shades for the character I want. I have my hot glue gun, also some extra glue sticks because one is never ever enough. I have this lighter for the ribbon, some scissors, always important, a sanding block, which are basically the tools needed for construction. I have a headband. I buy the unfinished ones because I like to wire wrap them, so I go ahead and have that. I also have the ribbon that I'm going to choose to wire wrap, and the velvet that I'm going to use inside the finish and to help give it a little grip. I have a measuring tape because I like to measure everything. I also have my bead trays. I have my wax to hold it in. Sometimes I use the little pens. Sometimes I use a wax pencil. I have my glue, and this is the ultimate multi-surface adhesive, and I buy this at Joann's. I have some tweezers just in case I make a mistake. I also have this little thing that I purchased at Dollar Tree. It comes in a pack of 3 and I love them. Sorry, it got loud. It has a needle point, and it has this that I can use to spread the glue. And you will need some kind of trim, whatever kind of trim you desire. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to show you how we get into this, okay? Okay, so once I cut out my foam, I'm going to then normally go ahead and sketch out what I want painted on it. That way it's just easier. I would have showed that part, but I figured just going over it with the black was going to be enough. I am using this Anasi all surface marker, and this one has a pointed tip. I like to have surfaces that I can press onto because most of the tips need something to release the paint. And I'm gonna go ahead and draw. And now we're going to paint them. Most of the time I really like using these ones. These are the paint markers I can find at Joann's. So let's go. All right, now we're gonna get to beading, and I might cut some of this because this takes me a couple of hours, but let's go. We start off with the glue. The glue is gonna come out really, really fast, so that's why I like to take this. I will pick the most center colors and start with those. All right. Now I have some of the colors that I'm going to need to start out with, so we're gonna go. I think I'm gonna start out with the pink and the brown. So I'm going to try to put just a very thin layer, and I work in tiny, tiny areas. If you venture too far out, it'll dry too quickly, and you won't have the tact you need. So let's go. And I'll go ahead and bring you back when these are all done. So now that I am done with all of the beading and it is dried, and I am going to take this and snip off, not quite like 1.5 inches, maybe 2 pieces of that. And then I'm going to cut off what equates to maybe between 5 and 7 inches. The edges of the 2 little ones. This just seals it so it won't fray, and then burn the edge of that. I made sure to line these up with the back. If there's a point that needs to be smoothed out, that's what I use the sanding block for. And I know that those are on top, so it's those sides. So I'm gonna flip them over, and we're going to glue them to this, which is what I chose. Just, it's super pretty. And what I like to do with this now is I will put it along the edge, just like kind of a thin layer. I don't want it to be too much because you don't want it to poof up. Then I'll make a curly Q, zigzag, and zigzag, and then I'm just going to push it on down. And the same one here. Be careful not to burn yourself. Now I'm going to let them dry, so I'll put them over here on the backs of these. I'm going to put 2 little lines, and then I like to take these and put them whatever side down you want to show. Push those down. Do the same thing over here, just 2 little lines. Leave like an inch or 2 off the edge, an inch or 2 off the edge. And then once that's done, I will put some glue back on that ribbon and fold it over. All right, so we have these 2 ready. Now this should be ready to cut. And just go ahead and follow the line very carefully. Go. Both of those are completely cut out. Now I can, sometimes they get little frays with this, so I just burn it all the way around and make sure that it just doesn't want to be loose. All right, so now we're going to do what we did to adhere the backing to this, because we're going to put them together. We're just going to sandwich them together. There we go. Line it up. I always like to do the bottoms really well first, then get it on there and push it down. If I need extra weight to make sure that it adheres, I will put down a candle on top of it. But normally, as long as you don't accidentally put too much right here in the middle, it doesn't bubble too bad. Uh-oh, it's time to glue my next piece on. Do you do that? Do you glue your glue stick to your glue stick? I do. Because it helps it to adhere, or it like always wobbles around. So again, line up the bottoms and push it down. All right, so now we're gonna wait for those. We're gonna let those ones dry. All right, so what I do is right here on the very tip, I'm gonna go ahead and put a dab, and I'm gonna put this down. And then I'll flip it over and do the same thing, just right there. Fold it over, do the same thing on both sides. Sometimes if I want to, I'll take this and I'll heat up this corner right here and kind of push that in just to seal it. You don't want to melt it too much because it will become hard and abrasive, but just a little bit to make it kind of form into the headband. All right, now it's time to wrap. So I'm going to take this one, and I like to wrap in this direction. So I'll take this and I put a little bit of glue right there, put that one down, and it's going to adhere on the very bottom. Put a little bit on the top, and then I'm going to put the majority of my glue around the top of the headband. That way the heat of your head won't like melt it loose. Now when we get to the very end, I like to just be very strategic about placement. I'm going to wrap this one over one more time. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to clip it right in the middle. Heat seal that end and secure it down. There we go. Now I like to take this to do the measurement. You can use a pair that you like or a template. I know that Syria has a template. I just always measure all the way around. This one's not quite 15 inches, so I need approximately 17 or 7.5. So right here, once I get to the 7.5, I will mark that. And then from that, I like to mark 1.25 inches and 1.25 inches. So now it's time for this. We know that she goes over here and he goes over there. In order to keep this down, I'll put a couple of little strands of glue right where the ribbon is, and I just push them down like that. That way they're kind of adhered to it and they won't pop up. I think I'm going to use this one. It's one of my favorite trims that I have. I need to buy some more. So I go ahead and take the end and I make sure that it's heat sealed without burning anything. All right, now I'm gonna take this, now I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put a little bit right there and right there, right in that corner. And I'm going to go ahead and put this down there and bring it around. I'm going to wrap this. So I just put a thin layer on both of the pieces of foam and take it and pull it till it's adhered. One way down, one way up, and then spread it out. And then we're going to adhere that. Once we get towards the end, I'm going to cut it and seal it. There we go, she is done. Now it's time to do Bernard. And they're ready to be adhered on. So now I hold these down and I put a generous amount of glue. I want it to cover it, but I don't want it to be excessive because then it will ooze out. And I'm going to find my mark and I'm going to line it up with the top of this ear. And then I'm going to just push it down. Okay. And now I have to hold it until it dries and adheres and stuff. Sometimes I will use like E6000 for this process just for an extra hold. There we go. And I'm going to repeat that on this side. So again, I want a good layer, but not too thick that it's gonna ooze out. If it does ooze out, you can absolutely use some kind of a trim or something. Find my mark that I made, and I just roll it on there. Sometimes I like to pull on the ribbons just to make sure. So now I'm going to go ahead and pick which way I want to put the bow on. And I'm going to put some glue right here in the middle. And I'm going to put it right there. Right there on that headband. Now I'm going to snip these extra edges off. So I leave just a little bit. That's going to get folded in. This is just for extra security. Heat seal all of them. Heat seal the ones up front. And now glue it on down. I like to do 2 at a time. Be careful not to burn yourself. Just put a little bit of glue on and push them on down. Normally when I'm making a bow, I will do this with the bow also. I make a little tab so that the bow can't come off, but that bow I bought in a package, so I didn't make it. All right, 1 and 2 more. Now I have my felt. Now I have my velvet ribbon. I heat sealed that and we're going to line it. So I like to start on the end that has the edge to it. Doctor that up a little bit. So I'm going to start on the edge that has the seam, and I take the flat side of my velvet ribbon and I apply some glue. Most of the time I will use a combination of hot glue and fabric glue and use my clips to clip it on to make sure that it holds and let it dry. But it's easiest to use the hot glue, so that's what we're going to do today. And I just go ahead when I'm doing this. I don't know that you can see it, but I put a line down one side, very thin, and a line up the other. And then I will use that little section and push it flat down. And then I will repeat. This is a Surebond. It is a high temp glue gun. And it's got like a very small precision nozzle on it, which I like because I feel like I don't have to get as big amounts of glue. As we get to the end, I'm going to bring this over, clip it just shy so it'll almost reach but not quite. Heat seal it. Make sure I go to the very tip and put it down there. At this point, if you have any kind of tag, you could put it on. We have our final product, and very fun, cute ears that are totally rescuer inspired. Thank you so very much for coming along on this adventure. These are definitely really fun and therapeutic for me. I like to make these, the beading and stuff. It's just very calming, but it takes a few hours. So if you're trying this at home, make sure that you have a space that the beads aren't going to fall all over and get everywhere, because there's casualties for sure, and that you have some time to sit down and do them. This is a lot of fun for me, and I hope you enjoy. I hope you go watch everybody else and see what wonders they were inspired to do for the Celebrating Forgotten Favorites Rescuers. I definitely chose Bernard and Bianca because they're the two May mice. And I hope that you have a wonderful day and a great big beautiful tomorrow. Bye-bye.